Hey folks, this is Dan Victor from Dan Victor Does. I am doing a special test of the mental illness with a chillness. I figured that this would be a good time to test something since everybody's out and about in their homes now, not out and about in the real world. And this is an opportunity for me to test Restream and see how it's working. So, if you are interested in watching, that's cool. That's cool. Anyhow, one of the things that I've learned to deal with is, you know, if you're dealing with anxiety, one of the things you need to do is to alleviate that without, masking it and covering it up. A lot of people go to drinking or some sort of self-medication or self-medicating behavior, like video games can be that way. Something like exercise, while that will get your mind off of things, it's actually doing your body really good. Exercise is one of the easiest. Well, it's not easy, but I do suggest that it's something that we can do. There's a couple key things, and I was looking on my phone. I wanted to just make sure that I got this up on my feed here. And one of the things that I took a picture of some of these old ones. So in terms of your behavior, the things that you can do to make your behavior better is one, eat. If you haven't eaten, that's one thing that you should do. It's very difficult to make sure that you're in the proper mood if you're hungry. A lot of people may not want to eat. Some people overeat. Overeating can make you lethargic, but there are pros and cons to everything. Sleeping, if you haven't slept or you've gotten too much sleep, I think a lot of people have a hard time sleeping or relaxing, getting true rest. And if you have any like vitamin supplements, if you're lacking in some way or you need to treat your physical body in some way and supplement that if you're lacking, say, in vitamin D or vitamin C. These are all things that can be done. So anyhow, and believe it or not, sticking to a schedule, like waking up at the same time, going to sleep at the same time, eating at the same time. I know it sounds silly, but when your body gets in that, you don't even have to think about it. And any anxiety you're feeling about what am I going to do today, you have it sort of mapped out in a little bit. Drinking water, just I'm not saying chug water, but I'm saying drink it, consciously drink it every so often. What's nice is, they say you're supposed to drink 8 glasses of water. What I do is I refill up my Fiji bottle. I did not buy this. I don't understand buying water, unless, you really do like the taste of it, but this is fine, Fiji. And being clean, if you haven't taken a shower in a little while, to share with you, these are certain things that if you can follow these things, so eat, sleep, exercise, take your medications or your supplements, stick to a schedule, be clean, and drink water. That's it. Now, there are certain fundamental things that you could be thinking about that would be, when I say fundamental, like you're talking about what you believe, your ideology, what is right and what is wrong in your sense of morality, So what I'm going to say is this: I have this rule where if I am trying to figure something out, I start writing it down. I have a lot of different sketchbooks and it's funny too, because some of these things are the same thing, but I'm not like looking back at the other things I've written. I'm just rewriting things I've already written, and strengthening that over time. If you end up giving yourself these projects as opposed to just watching Netflix constantly or watching the news constantly. It's sort of this thing. It's like, well, what do you do with this nervous energy? You don't have other people to distract you from that. So I suggest that you are, yes, I am real. This is Dan Victor. I am, I'm trying to share some positive tactics on how to, uh, on how to, I'm going to type back, yes, I am real. So, yes, I am real. So what I'm saying is that if you have some positive ways to put yourself out there into the world, and and just sort of focus on, there. Okay, here's another thing. People will say meditation, but it's not. You don't have to do meditation in the sense that most people think. You can be listening to some peaceful music. Peaceful music is really good. Um, just got a thing on the tax, because I've been pretty obsessed about the news, and you need to unplug and unwind. I think that one of the ways to do that is to just stop. I have a hard time shutting the television off when I am uh, when I'm trying to go to sleep. So, it's like I usually let my mind become exhausted, but one of the things, meditation, I see. Well, I mean, we can agree to disagree if you feel that way. My feeling on meditation is that they're all different kinds. I believe exercise is a form of meditation, right? But also, just staring out into space, giving yourself time to, not think about anything, or not, I mean, you don't have to, do transcendental meditation or any of these other things. Um, well, I'll be curious. Sanctiel, what do you feel is good for mental balance for you? I'm trying to go down some of these things that are good for alleviating anxiety, like a warm shower. A warm shower can do really good and change your perspective. Disassociating from where you are instead of repeating the same mental patterns. Um, and if your mind isn't quiet, then usually doing maybe doing some jumping jacks, stepping outside, just breaking the pattern so that you don't continue in the same line of thinking. Um, you know, it's again, it's to everybody's uh, preference. I don't believe that there is any one right answer, but you sort of try a bunch of different things and see what works for you. One tactic for grounding. Okay. So what I do is, like, I have a crystal that this is a crystal I pulled out of the earth myself. It was in this crystal field. And one of the things is that this is very tactile. So you can hold it, you can feel it. And if you find yourself becoming nervous, I'm not saying this per se, but like, this is something I like. It's maybe it's a coin, maybe it's something that it's got some weight to it. You can feel it. You can bring you back into the physical instead of being in your head. And it's funny because you're talking about, your perception is your reality, but um, you just got to get out of your head sometimes, and it's okay. You'll come back to it. Um, like, if you've ever tried to remember something, and you say you don't have your phone, one of the things that I like to do is I will, what do you call it? I will, like, not, I won't think about it. I'll say, okay, well, I can't remember it, but it'll come to me. And then I'll allow my brain to subconsciously let that information pull itself up. Again, these are just like little things that I've found to be helpful for me. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment. And this is really I'm trying this as a way, because I've never used Restream to multi-stream. So I'm streaming on a number of platforms, not just Twitch, on my Facebook, on my YouTube, and on my Twitter, which I don't use Twitter that much. So, it's all good. So anyhow, I figured, I don't want to go too long, but if people are watching, got a couple of people watching, which is nice. Um, this is pretty good. I've really tried to find a way that I can share certain things, especially, well, it's something I've always wanted to do, and now it seems as though people, more than ever, need some way to uh, kind of process what's going on right now. This is a very scary time for some people. For myself, it's like I feel, I've dealt with mental illness for a long time. I'm bipolar. I have bipolar disorder, I should say, because that's not my identity. It's just it's a condition, or a a physical, like, it's something like diabetes. That's the easiest way I can describe it to somebody else in terms of how I classify it. It's something that requires medical treatment. I do take medication, and again, every my answer is not the right answer for everyone. I believe that. Um, so I know it's kind of late, but sometimes you don't have anything. Not that you don't have anything, but sometimes you just need something to kind of occupy your mind. Um, but a good gauge is, if you like, I have a timer on my iPhone, right? So say you want to, like, limit yourself, like, say, limit a conversation. Say you're on the phone and you say, I don't want to go on forever. So I'm going to limit it to a half hour, 45 minutes, because I know that I have a tendency to talk forever. So, there is that. Um, I'm just, I know that I have my issues. So, like, what I'll do is I'll write down some of the things that I like about myself, some of the things I'd like to change. And again, I don't think you can do all of these things on a list, but maybe the thing that may give you the most trouble, and say it's washing your hands. I have a great thing for washing your hands. They start to get chapped. Really try to moisturize after you've washed your hands, say 20 minutes. 20 minutes, 20 seconds. I've been washing my hands with scalding water for 20 minutes. And that's why they look like they're basically flesh is falling off of the bone. Here's another suggestion. If you do have those gloves, whenever you are, say, cooking and washing the dishes, you can, those rubber gloves that you have for washing dishes, you can put those on so that your hands won't continue to get wet, even if you don't need to wash them. So if you have these gloves on, you don't really need to. You can disinfect the gloves, you can reuse these gloves, and and you won't have to worry about, say, washing your hands. Oh, I touched this thing. I also do the one-handed glove, so that you can use the glove to, say, turn a doorknob, and you have this other hand that you can use to, say, touch your face. Because I have a tendency to want to be able to touch my face. It's sort of a go-to thinking. And if you already know that this is your tendency, sometimes instead of changing your behavior, you accommodate your behavior, or you find a strategy in which you can alter that, or accommodate it. Like, so, it's saying, if I have a tendency to focus too much on one thing, or I know that when being conscious of your behavior, and again, like, witnessing it instead of, like, making a judgment on it. And because there is no right or wrong behavior. I mean, there's an ethical, what I would consider ethical behavior, but there's talking about, like, this is who I am, this is who you are. And I think we should not classify ourselves so harshly, or compare ourselves to other people in the way that will make us feel better or worse. I know that's fairly generic in a sense, but it is something I feel can be. I don't know. I think it's something that people would be able to. Uh, now that we have all this time, and some people are working, I'm not. If you have all of this time, perhaps, perhaps you can use this time to say, instead of being anxious about what could go wrong, it's like, look at this as an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to improve yourself, do some self care, some self love. I'm not talking about pleasuring yourself necessarily. I'm talking about, one of the things is like massaging your hands. Like, say, if you're moisturizing your hands, take your hands and this part of your hand, this fleshy part, if you were to massage this, it is actually very, very relaxing. So if you massage that just like that, right? It is something that I find to be very helpful. I also will, massage my own feet. Um, I just find that to be very relaxing, something that'll help me go to bed. Doing some stretching. These are all things that are fairly easy to do. I really expected to not talk so long, but I figured it's wild that I actually had some responses. So I'm going to clip it off because I'm trying to keep it to the 5-minute rule. I'm not sure exactly where I am time wise. um, but hey, thank you. I appreciate your you know uh, hopefully this helps you, because that's really what I'm interested in. I think a lot of people throw stuff out there and say, "Hey, subscribe, do this, do that." It's like, I used to think like that, but now I just feel like if it's something that's valuable to you, then I can worry about anything else later. But I think the message is more important than finding out how I could capitalize on it, because I think that message is more important. You know, so I'm just trying to put my priorities in order. Hopefully, you have a good night, and I hope this finds you well. I'm gonna go rest my eyes and put on some meditation tones so I can so I can get there. Anyhow, bless you all. We are all alive. Every minute we're alive, it's a gift. So. Um, Listen, this has been Dan Victor Does, and mental illness with a chillness, man. All right, take care. Good night.